In 2020, as research into the medical uses of cannabis increases, scientists and doctors are shedding new light on how cannabinoids interact with not only the human body, but with other cannabinoids. Let's talk about what researchers are learning about the cannabinoid CBD and how different doses can be put to use. CBD is one of the major cannabinoids found in cannabis, typically the second most abundant after THC. It's like THC in that it's a plant cannabinoid with a similar chemical structure, but it's also very different in terms of physiological effects. The most obvious difference is that it's non-intoxicating. CBD doesn't get you high the way that THC does. There are also interactive effects between THC and CBD. They can enhance each other, but they can also get in the way of one another. Some interactions have potentially interesting medical applications. The major receptor in the endocannabinoid system, ECS, responsible for psychoactive effects of cannabis is CB1, a receptor found mostly in the nervous system. For classic psychoactive effects to be felt, THC needs to bind to that receptor and activate it. CBD also interacts with the CB1 receptor, but differently. It doesn't activate that receptor. In fact, it makes it harder for the receptor to be activated by other compounds. CBD is essentially getting in the way of THC's ability to bind to the CB1 receptor. This is why the ratio of the two compounds is important for anticipating the effects. While THC and CBD have different pharmacological properties, they can both have similar physiological effects. For instance, both compounds can have analgesic and anti-inflammatory effects working on different mechanisms, so having THC and CBD could potentially enhance an outcome surrounding pain relief. In 2020, clinical evidence is not concurrently at a point where ratios for a particular condition can be set. A patient may find that a 1-to-1 THC to CBD blend is perfect, but most likely a person will get there through some trial and error. In addition, there are good reasons to think that blend won't be perfect forever. That's because people's physiologies change over time, including the ECS and how densely receptors are expressed in the brain and body. These things change over the lifetime of an individual, and so the optimal ratios and doses of these compounds are probably going to change as well. So be cautious about being overly prescriptive about doses and ratios. There's an interesting study on this topic looking at THC in mice, and the results suggest that the same dose of the same compound has very different behavioral and cellular effects depending on the age of the subjects. So a dose that works for you may not work for someone else. Dosing decisions must consider the concentration of CBD and THC, the weight of the person, individual body chemistry, and severity of the condition being treated. Different doses can have different effects. With substances that bind to a lot of different receptors, like CBD, there's often a sweet spot around a mid-sized dose. That means you can't simply expect the substance to be twice as strong if you double the dose. In fact, you might see the opposite. CBD is binding to many different receptors, so at a low dose, it will mainly hit the receptors it has the highest affinity for, or that are most densely expressed. At higher doses, those receptors can become saturated, so the remainder of the CBD will interact with other receptor systems, and that's where you may start to see different effects. In reality, it depends on the condition you're trying to treat. If you're using CBD for anxiety, there may be that sweet spot that has the best effect, but can become less effective if you increase the dose. Epilepsy treatment is using very high doses, and there is no documented observation of diminished effect as the dose goes up. It's also important to understand that the route of administration can impact how much CBD ends up in someone's system. If you swallow CBD in pill form, only a fraction of that CBD will end up making it into the bloodstream and exert an effect in the body. Different routes of administration, such as vaporization, sublingual tinctures, or transdermal patches, provide a more direct route for CBD and THC to enter the body. This probably allows for a larger proportion to enter the bloodstream. So people interested in CBD products in 2020 may want to consider experimenting with different routes of administration, as a given amount of CBD in pill form may not lead to the same outcomes as an identical amount taken via another route. In general, a good rule of thumb to determine your proper CBD dosage, if you have no specific doctor recommendation, is to take 1 milligram of CBD to start. Wait at least an hour between vaporizer doses and at least 6 hours between doses for an oral formula. Increase slowly in 1 milligram increments from there until you reach your desired effect. If you have additional questions, please visit our website at CalmEffect.com. We are now offering $99 doctor's appointments so you can obtain the relief you deserve at an affordable price. CalmEffect. Start living your best life today.